What I'm about to share with you will change your life forever. If you're watching this right now, it is not by accident. God has led you here for a reason. He has a message for you, a divine truth that will shift your life in ways you never imagined. Prayer is not just something we do when we need help. It is the key to unlocking the full power of God in our lives. When you truly understand what it means to pray without ceasing, your entire world will change. Worry will no longer control you. Fear will lose its grip. Doors that once seemed shut will begin to open. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to carry an unshakable peace no matter what happens in their lives? They could be facing hardships, yet they remain calm, hopeful, and full of faith. The reason is simple. They have made prayer their foundation. They don't just pray when they need something, they pray all the time. They have learned the secret of praying without ceasing, and because of that they are constantly connected to God's power, wisdom, and guidance. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that no matter what happens, you are covered by God's presence. Picture a life where stress, doubt, and fear no longer control your mind, because you are deeply connected to the one who controls everything. That is what happens when you develop a lifestyle of continuous prayer. You are no longer reacting to life's challenges. You are moving through them with divine strength. And that's exactly why you're here right now. God is calling you to a higher level of faith. He is inviting you to experience a life where you are never alone, never without guidance, and never without hope. What you're about to learn in this message is powerful. It has the potential to shift your life in ways you never thought possible. If you have ever felt lost, overwhelmed, or unsure of what to do next, this message is for you. So before we go any further, I need you to take a moment and prepare your heart. Let go of distractions. Open your spirit to receive. Because in the next few moments, we are going to explore a truth that has the power to transform your life. This is not just another message. This is a divine appointment. God is speaking directly to you, and if you listen closely, your life will never be the same again. Think about what happens when a person stops eating food. At first they may feel a little hungry, but over time their body weakens. Their energy fades, their mind becomes foggy, and eventually, if they don't eat at all, their body begins to shut down. Prayer is just like that, but for your spirit. When you don't pray, you may not notice it at first, but slowly your faith begins to weaken. Your peace starts to fade. Your strength to face life's battles decreases, and before you know it, you are overwhelmed, anxious, and disconnected from God. Many people wonder why they feel spiritually drained. They feel lost, confused, and stuck in life. They can't seem to hear God's voice, and they don't understand why things are not working out for them. The reason is simple. They are spiritually starving. Just like a body cannot function without food, your spirit cannot function without prayer. Prayer is the fuel that keeps your faith alive. It is the lifeline that keeps you connected to God's wisdom, strength, and peace. Without prayer, fear takes over. Anxiety controls your mind. The problems of life feel heavier because you are trying to carry them alone. But that is not how God designed you to live. He never intended for you to handle life on your own. He wants you to lean on Him, to talk to Him, and to receive His guidance in every moment. Think about the times when you have felt the most lost, the most overwhelmed, the most uncertain. Were you praying daily during those times, or were you trying to figure everything out on your own? The truth is, when we stop praying, we start struggling. We open the door for stress, doubt, and confusion to take control. But when we stay in constant communication with God, we remain in His peace, His power, and His protection. If you've been feeling like something is missing in your life, like you're constantly searching for answers but never finding them, I want to encourage you to look at your prayer life. Have you been talking to God daily? Have you been inviting Him into every moment, every decision, every situation? Because when you do, everything changes. You begin to see life through God's perspective. You stop relying on your own strength and start walking in His divine power. And when that happens, nothing can shake you. When the Bible tells us to pray without ceasing, it doesn't mean we have to be on our knees 24/7, speaking words non-stop. That's not realistic, and that's not what God is asking. What He desires is for us to have a heart that is always connected to Him, a mindset that includes Him in everything we do. Praying without ceasing means living with an awareness of God's presence, talking to Him throughout the day and keeping our hearts open to His voice. Many people think of prayer as something formal, something that needs to happen in a quiet place with closed eyes and folded hands. But prayer is much more than that. It's a continuous conversation with God. It's as simple as whispering, "Thank you, Lord," when you wake up. It's pausing in the middle of a stressful moment to say, "God, I trust you." It's recognizing that He is with you in every moment. Whether you're driving, working, cooking, or resting, think of prayer as a direct line to God that never gets disconnected. Just as we keep our phones close to us to stay in touch with family and friends, our hearts should always be in tune with God, ready to communicate with Him at any time. When something good happens, we should immediately thank Him. When we face a challenge, we should instantly ask for His guidance. When we don't know what to do, we should seek His wisdom. That is what it means to pray without ceasing, always. Being in touch with God, no matter where we are or what we're doing. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they can only pray when they have the right words, the right setting, or the right amount of time. But God doesn't require perfection in prayer. He simply wants connection. He wants to hear from you, whether you have a long, eloquent prayer or a short, simple one. Whether you pray for an hour or just say, "God, help me," He listens. Life of unceasing prayer is not about saying more words. It's about having more awareness of God's presence. It's about making Him a part of your daily routine, inviting Him into your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions. And when you do that, you will start to see the difference. Your worries won't feel as heavy. Your heart won't feel as restless. You will begin to experience a supernatural peace that goes beyond understanding. The key to praying without ceasing is not about adding another task to your daily schedule. It's about shifting your mindset so that prayer becomes a natural part of your life. It's about training your heart to turn to God first before anything else. When you make prayer a lifestyle instead of a chore, you will realize that God has been speaking to you all along. You just needed to be tuned in to hear Him. Faith is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like a muscle that weakens when it's not exercised, faith can fade when it's not fed. The way to build strong, unshakable faith is through daily prayer. Every time you pray, you are reinforcing your trust in God. You are reminding yourself that He is in control, that He hears you, and that He is working on your behalf. Many people struggle with faith because they only pray when they need something. When life is good, they forget to talk to God. When things go wrong, they rush to Him in desperation. But faith doesn't grow in moments of panic. It grows in moments of consistency. When you make prayer a daily habit, you build a faith that is strong even in the hardest times. You don't wait until trouble comes to talk to God. You stay connected to Him every single day, so when challenges arise, your faith is already prepared. Think about a tree with deep roots. No matter how strong the winds blow, that tree stands firm because its roots are anchored deep in the ground. That is what daily prayer does for your faith. It roots you deeply in God's promises, so that no storm in life can shake you. Whether you face financial troubles, health issues, family problems, or moments of uncertainty, prayer keeps you grounded in the truth that God is with you and He will never fail you. Another reason daily prayer strengthens your faith is that it keeps your focus on God rather than on your problems. When you spend time in prayer, your mindset shifts. Instead of dwelling on what's wrong, you begin to focus on God's power to make things right. You stop magnifying your struggles and start magnifying God's ability to solve them. You begin to trust that no matter what happens, God is in control and He is working all things for your good. Faith is not about seeing immediate results. It's about trusting that even when you don't see anything happening, God is still at work. Prayer reminds you of this truth. It keeps you encouraged when you feel like giving up. It strengthens your belief that God is faithful, even in the waiting. If you've ever felt like your faith is weak, the answer is simple. Pray more. Talk to God daily. Let Him remind you of His promises. Let Him fill your heart with peace. The more you pray, the more confident you become in His love and His plan for your life. Daily prayer is not just something you do, it's something that builds you into the person God created you to be. Life is full of ups and downs. There are moments of joy and moments of pain. But one thing is certain, when you have a strong prayer life, you never have to go through difficult times alone. Prayer is the bridge that connects you to God's strength when you feel weak, to His comfort when you feel broken, and to His guidance when you feel lost. Have you ever faced a moment so overwhelming that you didn't know what to do? Maybe you received bad news, lost someone you love, or found yourself in a situation that seemed impossible to fix. In those moments, it's easy to feel hopeless, but prayer has the power to bring light into even the darkest situations. When you turn to God in difficult times, He gives you the strength to keep going. One of the most powerful things about prayer is that it doesn't necessarily change your situation right away, but it changes you in the situation. It gives you peace when things don't make sense. It gives you hope when everything looks impossible. It reminds you that God is with you, carrying you through the storm. Think about the times in your life when you felt completely overwhelmed. How did you get through it? If you look closely, you'll see that God was there the entire time. Maybe He sent the right people to help you, gave you a sense of peace that didn't make sense, or opened doors you never expected. That is the power of prayer. Even when you can't see how things will work out, prayer reminds you that God already has the answer. Difficult times can make people either run toward God or away from Him. Those who don't have a strong prayer, life often let hardships push them further from God, blaming Him or doubting His goodness. But those who pray daily know that even in suffering, God is still working. They understand that trials are not punishments. They are opportunities to trust God more deeply and to see His power at work. If you're going through a difficult season right now, I want you to know this: you are not alone. God sees you. He hears your prayers. He knows your pain, and He is working behind the scenes for your breakthrough. Keep praying. Keep trusting. You may not understand why you're facing this battle, but one day you will look back and see that God was with you every step of the way. One of the biggest questions people ask is, how do I hear God's voice? They wonder if God is really speaking to them, or if they are just imagining things. The truth is, God speaks to us all the time, but many people don't recognize His voice because they are not listening. Hearing God's voice is not about receiving loud, dramatic messages from the sky. It's about developing a heart that is sensitive to His presence. It's about creating space in your life for Him to speak. And the way you do that is through consistent prayer. Many people pray, but they never take time to listen. They rush through their requests, pour out their problems, and then move on with their day without waiting for an answer. But prayer is a two-way conversation. Just like in any relationship, communication is not just about talking, it's also about listening. God speaks in many ways. Sometimes He speaks through Scripture, giving you a verse that feels like it was written just for you. Sometimes He speaks through the wisdom of others, sending the right person at the right time to give you guidance. Sometimes He speaks through circumstances, opening or closing doors to direct your path. And sometimes He speaks directly to your heart in a quiet, gentle way. The key to hearing God's voice is learning to be still. In today's world, people are constantly surrounded by noise, phones, social media, responsibilities, distractions. But God's voice is often found in the quiet moments. When you set aside time to be still, to meditate on His word, and to simply sit in His presence, you will begin to recognize His voice more clearly. Another way to hear God's voice is to ask Him specific questions and then wait for an answer. Instead of just praying general prayers, ask, God, what do you want me to do in this situation? Or, Lord, is this the right path for me? Then pay attention. Sometimes the answer will come immediately. Other times it will come in unexpected ways. But when you truly seek His voice, He will make it known. If you've ever felt like God is silent, don't give up. Keep praying. Keep listening. Sometimes God is speaking, but we are too busy or distracted to hear Him. The more time you spend in prayer, the more you will recognize His voice. It will become familiar to you like the voice of a close friend. And when you learn to hear God's voice, your life will never be the same. One of the most powerful things about prayer is that it brings peace, real, lasting peace that stays with you no matter what is happening around you. Many people search for peace in different ways. Some try to find it through money, success, or relationships. Others look for it in entertainment, distractions, or even unhealthy habits. But the truth is, the only source of true peace is God, and the way to connect with Him is through prayer. Have you ever had a moment where everything in your life seemed chaotic, but after praying, you felt a deep sense of calm? That is the peace of God at work. It doesn't come from having all the answers. It doesn't come from life being perfect. It comes from knowing that God is in control. When you pray, you are placing your worries into His hands. You are surrendering your fears, your doubts, and your anxieties, and allowing Him to carry the burden. The Bible tells us in Philippians 4:6-7, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This means that when you pray, you are activating a supernatural peace that goes beyond human understanding. It is a peace that protects your heart from worry, your mind from fear, and your spirit from doubt. Daily prayer ensures that no matter what happens, your peace remains unshaken. It doesn't mean life will be free of trouble, but it does mean that you will handle every situation with a heart that is calm, steady, and full of faith. Instead of reacting with fear, you will respond with trust. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you will stand firm, knowing that God is taking care of you. If you have been struggling with anxiety, stress, or constant worry, the answer is simple. Spend more time in prayer. Talk to God about everything. Release your concerns to Him. The more you pray, the more you will experience His peace, and that peace will stay with you no matter what life brings. When you commit to a life of consistent prayer, you begin to see blessings in ways you never imagined. Some of these blessings are obvious. Prayers answered, doors opened, problems solved. But others are hidden blessings, things you may not notice right away but that have a profound impact on your life. One hidden blessing of daily prayer is wisdom. When you spend time with God, you gain clarity. You start to see things from His perspective instead of your own limited understanding. You make better decisions because you are guided by His wisdom, not just your own thoughts and emotions. Another blessing is strength in difficult times. Life is full of unexpected challenges, but when you have a strong prayer life, those challenges don't shake you the way they used to. You don't panic when trials come because you know that God is already working on a solution. Your faith is strengthened, and you develop endurance to keep going even when things get tough. Consistent prayer also brings divine protection. There are many dangers in the world, both seen and unseen. But when you pray, you are surrounding yourself with God's presence. You're inviting His angels to guard you, His wisdom to guide you, and His hand to cover you. Many times we don't even realize how much God is protecting us from. But every prayer is a shield, keeping us safe from harm. The greatest blessing of all is a closer relationship with God. When you pray daily, you become more aware of His presence in your life. You begin to recognize His voice, see His hand at work, and feel His love in a deeper way. Your relationship with Him grows stronger, and that connection becomes the foundation of your life. There are countless blessings that come with prayer, some immediate, some revealed over time. But one thing is certain: a life of prayer is a life full of God's goodness. Many people want to pray more but struggle to make it a consistent habit. They get busy, forget, or feel like they don't have the right words. But prayer doesn't have to be complicated. It's simply talking to God, and making it a daily habit is easier than you think. Here are some practical ways to build a strong prayer routine. Start your day with prayer. Before checking your phone or getting out of bed, take a few moments to talk to God. Thank Him for a new day, ask for His guidance, and invite Him into everything you do. Pray throughout the day. You don't have to wait for a quiet moment to pray. Talk to God while you're driving, working, cooking, or exercising. Keep the conversation open, just like you would with a close friend. Have a set prayer time. Choose A specific time each day when you will dedicate a few minutes to focused prayer. It could be in the morning, during lunch, or before bed. The key is consistency. Write down your prayers. Keeping a prayer journal helps you stay focused and see how God answers over time. It's a powerful way to track your spiritual growth. Pray with others. Join a prayer group, pray with family, or find a prayer partner. Praying together brings encouragement and accountability. End your day with gratitude. Before going to sleep, thank God for everything He has done that day. Reflect on His blessings, big and small, and rest in His peace. Making prayer a daily habit isn't about following rules, it's about building a relationship. The more you pray, the more natural it becomes, and soon you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. If you take just one thing from this message, let it be this. Prayer has the power to transform your life. It is not just a religious practice. It is a direct connection to God, the source of all wisdom, peace, and strength. When you commit to praying without ceasing, you step into a life that is guided by God's presence, covered by His protection, and filled with His blessings. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to start. You don't need the right words or the perfect setting. You can begin right now wherever you are. Simply open your heart and talk to God. Share your thoughts, your worries, your hopes, and your gratitude. And then take a moment to listen. God is always speaking. He is always guiding. You just need to be still enough to hear Him. As you move forward, make the decision to deepen your prayer life. Choose to invite God into every part of your day. Trust that He hears you, that He sees you, and that He is working on your behalf. No matter where you are in life, prayer is the key that will unlock peace, strength, wisdom, and divine direction. God is waiting to hear from you. He is ready to walk with you through every season, every challenge, and every victory. All you have to do is talk to Him. And as you do, you will begin to experience the life-changing effects of praying without ceasing. Your breakthrough starts today. Keep praying, keep believing, and watch how God moves in your life.